Good evening. My name is Malik Abbasdab. Welcome to PM Express. If you have ever eaten any food containing palm oil, chances are that you consumed chemicals that are supposed to have cancer-causing agents. Yes, you heard me right. I'm talking about Sudan 4, popularly called Sudi. The Food and Drugs Authority says that after taking 50 samples of palm oil from 10 markets in Accra, they found out that only one of the 50 samples did not contain this dangerous chemical. How serious is this problem? Join me on PM Express tonight, discuss this important topic. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. As I said, we are discussing a very important topic, and I have the best team you can assemble to discuss this topic. With me are the head of Food Safety Department at the Food and Drugs Authority, Madam Maria Lovelace Johnson. We got your name wrong on radio, you were upset. With me also is Dr. Francis Asamoah. He is a clinical oncologist. You're welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Maria. You found out that this problem is more serious than we imagined, because apart from just these 50 samples that you tested and found out that only one was wholesome, you also impounded a truckload of drums, and when you tested, all of them were found to contain Sudan 4, right?
Yeah.
How serious is this problem?
After interrogating the people, that's the suppliers of the palm oil, we found out that actually it is the norm. Everybody adds Sudan 4.
So it's pervasive.
That is how it seems, actually. When we asked them why they do such a thing, they were like, well, the people ask for red palm oil because they expect the palm oil to be red.
But the people, they mean consumers.
The consumers, as in the citizens of Ghana, consumers, the customers, all expect the palm oil to be red and not yellow. So if you have palm oil and it's not red, then it's like you're just not part of the team and you are just out to just incur losses. So if you want to make any profit, you need to let your palm oil be red so that it will be bought.
You are a lady and you cook. Is there anything that the redness adds to the food?
Oh, well, food in general has to be appealing. If food doesn't appeal to somebody, it will not be bought and it will not be eaten. When you're eating your contomere and you see it reddish and all that, well, to some people, it adds some color. Besides, we have grown up with a view that palm oil is red. So when you're eating your contomere or your garden next to you and all that, you expect some redness. That is something that you have grown up with. So you just side yourself that is how it has to be. So all of a sudden, if you realize that palm oil is yellow and you think that you will not get it as, you not get a red color on the palava sauce or the garden next to you, it may upset you. So you want the red color. And food is not just eaten just because you are hungry and you want to be full.
Dr. Sama would disagree with that.
Food is not just eaten. Food is, it's for pleasure.
Does this surprise you?
Food is for pleasure.
Not quite. Not quite, in the sense that we talk a lot about unhealthy eating habits, but they are habits because we either enjoy them or that's what we've grown up to know, so we keep doing them. So I would agree with her on that score that we may eat food for various reasons, not just because of a nutritional value per se.
But how long did it take to find out? When you conducted this, I imagine you would have taken the samples to your lab.
Yeah.
How difficult or easy it is to identify that this happens?
Oh, it goes to the lab and within 24 hours we get it out. It just goes through the HPLC and all that, and then we get it. We get the result in a day. But as you mean, how difficult was it for us to see that it's 98% or just
Yes.
for the... Oh, since 2006, this problem has been suspected, actually.
In fact, it's been more than 2006, 2004. My findings indicate that since 2004.
I think we had an alert. Some went to Europe, and then we had an alert that there was Sudan 4 in it. So some were returned, actually. We did the test. We found out that, well, it's in. That's true. And where does it come from? We realized it was coming from the processors in Kwaye, Kade, Asaman Kese, and all that. So we went to them, did a thorough education with them, made them know the consequences of the product. And the fact that when it goes out there and is rejected, it's not a good image for
Because
Ghana.
nobody listened to you.
Oh, they did, actually, they did. And so it went down. You know, we've been doing this periodically. It's just that I don't know where it just came from for us to just get it at 98%.
Is it possible to look at the palm oil with the eye and tell?
No, unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, you cannot, because it's red and it looks red. And you know, the abepa that we used to have in times past, even if it's still there, but the predominant one is the agric one. You know, now there is the agric one that's bigger, has more pulp on it and all that. And so when you press for the palm oil, you get more out of it. And then the abepa is smaller and redder. So when you use the abepa, that's the local abe with the local palm fruit we have, you get the palm oil red. The agric one makes it yellow after the processing. So it's just about varieties of palm fruits, and the people are not educated. For lack of knowledge, the people perish.
But Doc, you are a clinical oncologist. Are you worried that you cannot detect it on the face value? You can't look at the oil and tell that this is it.
It certainly is a worry, in the sense that in our setting we don't have a lot of, should I call, mature data to give us as to what is causing the cancers that we are seeing in our environment. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if I should say, where they would have mechanisms that are able to pick up these things in their patients that they see, they also have mechanisms that pick them up in the products that they receive in their country, and so they are able to stop it from even getting into their patients. So it's definitely going to be worrying when we don't have the mechanism to monitor every product that comes out, and we also are not too sure of what is going to happen to us once these things go in.
Now, the figures are alarming. 98% of palm oil contain Sudan 4. What's Sudan 4?
Okay. Sudan 4, from my little background checks on what its chemical composition is useful to the biochemist in some of their evaluations, picking up some oils in some of the tests that they run. And when we run our checks at the International Agency for Cancer Research, the arm of the World Health Organization that coordinates cancer control worldwide, they classify it as an agent which we don't have much data on because it's not expected to be in the human body. And it's also not given to animals because once it's not going to be in the human body, there's no point testing it in animals to find out what the effects would be. But given the fact that we know that there are some dyes which historically are associated with some cancers, including the bladder, cancers of the bladder, and the effects of cigarettes as well, that because we cannot get these end products or byproducts of these things out of our system, we develop a host of cancers. It becomes very worrying that this Sudan 4 dye, which is normally not supposed to be in the human body, is also being put in our food.
In fact, in my search for this program, I found out that it has various names. It's called Scarlet Red, Oil Red 4, Fat Ponchu, Fat Ponchu R, or LB, and it's a mutagen. and it's not supposed to be handled by pregnant women. You are supposed not to. There shouldn't be any eye contact. It shouldn't touch your eye because it has carcinogen. And when we say it has carcinogen, what does it mean?
A carcinogen is basically an agent with the potential to cause cancer. There are various forms of it. We can talk about infectious agents which can cause cancers. We all know about hepatitis B. We've heard about human papilloma virus as well, with the new campaign to offer vaccines to control cervical cancer. And we also know about the HIV and some of the human lymphotrophic viruses as well, which cause various forms of cancers. So basically, a carcinogen is any agent that is able to cause cancers, be it physical or infectious.
And the FDA, formerly FDB, in 2004 when this matter first came to our attention, and does it worry you that this happened outside the country? We on our own didn't detect it. It had to happen outside the country before we then started to act in 2004.
Yeah, at the time we were worried, obviously, that, well, how come we didn't even detect that such a thing was being done? Because we really didn't even think such a thing could be done. We've always known red oil, palm oil as being red, and that's it. We didn't even think such a thing could be done by people. And so when we found out that that was the cause, we trained them, we educated them, we made them know the consequences of their actions. We thought that would be good enough. Afterwards, we've been doing the tests periodically, and they've been fine.
It seems we haven't done enough, because at that time when it happened, Alan Chirmantin, who was the Minister for Trade and Presidential Initiative and all of that, he issued a statement, and this is what he said. He said the ministry had noted with concern, quote, a rapid alert warning from the UK Food Standards Agency in respect of palm oil exports from Ghana to the UK, suspected to be contaminated by Sudan 4 dye, which is dangerous to health. This is what the minister at the time, 2004. This was
but afterwards, you haven't been having the alerts that often, because we've been working on it. And palm oil has been going out of this country every time. We do the export control so much that every time we have a consignment going out of the country, we issue a certificate to go with it. Unless, of course, the consignment finds its way out there without going through the FDA. But whenever it goes out there, we do the test.
But
and that's how come you've not been hearing of alerts every now and then.
If that was true, only recently,
we had Fovito.
April 22,
Yes.
2015, we had another case also in the UK.
Exactly.
In that case, the UK Standards Authority found out that this palm oil was in some store in the UK. So they actually issued a warning, and they said anybody who has bought this oil, do not consume it.
In fact, even that recall was by the company itself before even the UK Food Standards Agency came in. But then some way, somehow, it found its way out there because of we know FDA and GSA, we do have some duplication somewhere. There is some duplication of functions at a point, and at certain points it becomes a gray area. Some way, somehow, that product went there without the FDA certificate. So we had that issue. But it was he himself who even initiated the recall before
until this UK authorities started talking about it.
There was a recall. He had started his recall.
The Food and Drugs Authority in Ghana, we didn't hear you do anything or say anything. But you hold that breath. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will continue with this discussion. Stay tuned. We are discussing the alarming finding that 98% of palm oil is found to contain cancer-causing agents, Sudan 4, which is a dye, which is supposed to be used for clothes, but it's now put in food. I was talking about, in my view, the FDA hasn't been that proactive, because if that were the case, we wouldn't have this situation where such a large number of palm oil produced in this country contain Sudan A. Because if people took your education seriously, if you took your monitoring seriously as you are mandated to do, we wouldn't have this situation where such a large 98% is alarming, wouldn't you say?
Well, it is alarming, I accept that. But we've been doing our work very well. We have been monitoring.
The results are not borne by...
No, you know, there are a number of food commodities out there in the market that are not even, you know, because they are even not prepackaged, and you find them anyway, anyhow, produced by small groups of people, and it's really the artisanal type of production. So somebody just gets up, does something. Controlling it is really a Herculean task, and we have been doing that very well. We've been doing this monitoring from time to time. Whenever we do it, it's fine. We don't get it at this rate. Whenever we do it, about 10%, 5%, we control it. We look for the source of the problem and we solve it. This time around, when we saw 98%, we said no. It's not just about looking at the sources and correcting it. It's about letting the public know the dangers involved, and then they making an informed decision.
You are reported to have said that people should not buy any palm oil until the FDA completes its market surveys and all of that it is doing.
Yes.
Is that sufficient?
Well, FDA is working assiduously to get it corrected.
One would have thought that by this time you would have been in the market confiscating these products.
We are doing that. We are doing that. If you like, just send your people to report tomorrow, 3 a.m. I will not tell you where it is because this is on air. Maybe off air, I will tell you. You'll see what we are doing. Just 3 a.m. off air, tomorrow you'll be reporting it. 3 a.m. my people will be out there doing all that. We are there doing that, confiscating the products. Go to our office premises, you'll find the products there. We've confiscated some, we are going ahead confiscating all of them. You know, when you just start at the retail point, it's just like dealing with branches. We want to deal with the roots and the stem. When you deal with anything like that, you really get to the bottom of the problem. It's not just about branches. The branches are just the retailers. They are people who are just selling their things because the customer wants them. Actually, some of them don't even know that the thing has Sudan dye. It is the stem of the problem. That is the suppliers. They go to the roots. That's where the processors are. They take the Sudan 4 with them. They tell you, we add it to our money and send it to the processors and tell them, well, add this amount for my, let's say, 10 barrels of whatever, of palm oil, and it is done for them. Sometimes they lace the barrels with the substance. It goes to the processors, they put it in, and then the suppliers really do the stirring and bring it to the retailers.
Doc, when we went out to go find out as a media house whether retailers are aware of this problem, they are not.
Yeah.
And people are actually buying
Exactly.
they are consuming it, people have stock, and they are doing brisk business.
Exactly.
That's why I'm pointing out that the FDA hasn't been that proactive. If the authority was, we won't have this situation.
That's why I'm telling you that at the retail point, right?
Let me get doctor to respond to
Okay.
that, and then I can come back to you.
I think, by and large, the FDA has probably lots of other responsibilities that they have to stretch out thin to cover. I'm not holding brief for them, but I think that it appears that in this country we have two standards for what goes out and what we consume in the country. So the same sort of stringent requirements are not put on what we sell in the country.
Why is that?
That's probably got to do with the fact that those who we are exporting to have standards that they expect us to match up to, but we don't have the same regulations or requirements to go with products.
Is it that we don't have the requirements and the regulations, or we do not enforce them? We relax them. We relax them when it has to do with domestic consumption. And I know what you're talking about. When people are exporting pineapple, banana, all of that, they remove the rotten one and sell it back home. And then what is good enough is what is exported.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not too sure if the FDA has the numbers and the funding and the facilities that they require to monitor not just palm oil, but everything else that we consume. Because even the fruits that we get on our open market, the vegetables, the fresh vegetables, or so-called fresh vegetables, if I may put it that way, the sources of water that are used to cultivate these ones are all sources of concern to the health of the nation.
And we know, don't we?
Yes, exactly. But
and yet we are doing nothing.
The issue is the authority that is mandated to do so. Have we resourced it well enough to be able to carry out that mandate? I think probably that's where the problem is.
I'm insisting that these things, when it comes to local consumption, the FDA appears to relax the rules.
No, that's not true. We are as strict on the local production as we are on exports. But you see, when it comes to exports, let's take the palm oil like this. You need the certificate of exports. So you definitely have to come to us. You will even come to us, and we will do the certificate for you to be able to export it. When it comes to the local production, your grandmother can be doing something there and just be serving people 2-3 houses away from your people just in your vicinity. The artisanal nature of the production of food in this country makes it a bit difficult, but we are still on a really, really working very well, because when you get the people working in small groups, one, education is even an issue. Food safety awareness, a big issue. Even that cuts across.
But
whether
but
they
the
are
media are often available
not,
to do this for you for
they
free.
don't do it. They don't, please.
Because
they don't.
when the story broke, virtually every media
you
house
need
is carrying it.
to break out first. But we do a lot of underground work without coming out like this, because you don't. Well, the politics always supersede that of the food safety awareness. People are just not interested in food safety. And it will surprise you that be they people with long strings of degrees attached to their names, or people who have never stepped in a classroom, they think, they make a joke out of food safety. It's like the one who brought hygiene to this country was even hit by a Ebola car. It's not my idea of fun, but they think it's fun.
Is that not a failing of the FDA?
Not at all. Not at all. Others, people think we are too fussy. For me, a lot of my friends even think I'm too fussy. After all, what is food hygiene? Oh, people think it is nothing. And that is where we have
germs are not harmful.
And for me, that's not my idea of fun. But this is the mentality of the people we are dealing with. Because something like this palm oil issue is seriously consumer driven. If the consumer was well educated, if the consumer will really listen to us and understand that there is no need to get the thing red, because nutritionally it's the same, be it yellow or red, has the same nutritional value. So why do you insist on the thing being red? So the supplier goes, like the supplier, the uneducated one, the non-food safety aware one as well, goes out and says, well, I'm in for business. Simple economics law, demand and supply. They are demanding red oil. Let me supply them red oil through fair or foul means. For them, actually, they don't even, from interrogating them, they don't even know it's a foul mean. They just think it's color, that's all. Some Nigerians supply and they just put it in.
Is that not the problem? That is the problem, Doc, with my view that there's a failing. Because in your own, when we spoke to your PRO this morning, he said that when you accosted a vehicle carrying drums of
the palm oil,
the owners did not know that Sudan 4 is a prohibited chemical and that it should not be added to any food. It's not a food additive. They do not know. So why is the education?
We have educated them.
Because anybody who is in this business ought to know. If your education was robust enough, anybody who is in this business ought to know. Unless they are doing it for criminal purposes or they are doing it for purposes of just commerce. They want to make more money.
They say they do not know. That's what they are saying. But we have even been to the processes themselves. Since 2004, even 2006, more of 2006, we really did a very vigorous education in Kwaye, Kade, Asaman, Kesi, and all that. So the processes themselves don't even add it. Even though they know that the market demands the red one. But it's the suppliers who think that they will be losing out that do that. Because the processors know they have been trained and trained properly. But the suppliers will say they will go and then we add it ourselves, because when you bring it to the market, they'll be demanding for red oil. They don't want yellow oil. So that's it. They just, and I think it's consumer driven. It's more about education. And education, you will agree with me, the press, you can help us do it more.
But that's exactly what we are doing.
Yes, good, because we came out with the story of the 98%.
And you have to keep doing your work. You have to keep doing your work so we can help.
Please, if you help us, we are very ready to do it.
But if you didn't go to find out this, we wouldn't come and do your job for you. So find out the results, let us know.
Oh, we have a lot of things that we can let you know. A lot of things that we can let you know, that we can just nip the problems in the bud if you do help us. It's just that the press would rather do the politics than the food safety awareness.
No, the UK authorities have been issuing these alerts and are pointed out since 2004. Would we not run the risk of being banned? Because as you pointed out there, they take food safety more seriously than we do. And we have demonstrated that we do not sufficiently take food safety seriously.
Well, when the last alert came up, at least it came with withdrawal or recall of the products that were found to contain this material. And so it wouldn't be far-fetched if they should go to the extent of maybe asking us politely not to bring any more of that product for a while, which invariably is a ban anyway on palm oil exports. So that definitely is a possibility. When we look at the cancer control program document that was launched early this year, one of the means of controlling cancers is basically lifestyle modification. We're looking at controlling obesity, controlling our excessive use of alcohol, smoking, our sedentary lives.
When you say obesity, you're talking about
being bigger than or heavier than you are expected to be given your height. Yes. And with that, it is projected that about a third of cancers can be prevented. But then,
so if you control your weight,
controlling our weight, not just that, controlling weight, taking up a regular exercise pattern, reducing our alcohol intake, reducing smoking, and stopping it if we're already in the habit. We expect that with a third of cancers, we can control them through just this. But then in our case, we are then having on this additional challenge of unknown substances or substances which are not expected to be in the body in addition to these other environmental factors which we know can help us control our cancer. So I think it's quite worrying to learn of that.
But in this society, when you put on weight, you are praised for it, isn't it? We are fair. You are looking very nice. Your wife is taking good care of you.
Exactly. And when we compare our life expectancies to realize that we are living less or younger than
we are dying
at a younger age than those who are in the Western world. So maybe that could be one of the
We will
other
probe
things
that
as well.
more when we come back from a break. I want us to take a break at this point. When we come back, we will continue with this discussion. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are discussing contamination and adulteration of food by the introduction of additives that are not allowed, which are unsafe for human consumption. And Doc, you were making the point about the things that we have to do in order to control cancer, because it's come out that this Sudan 4 contains cancer-causing agents because it's a carcinogen. And you listed a number of things. Yeah. Control your weight, stop smoking. If you are smoking, stop. If you are not, don't smoke at all. Alcohol intake, you must stop all of that. Have an exercise regime.
Fruits and vegetables.
And all of those things. Where you sit, do you think that generally, in our general populace, we take these things seriously?
I don't, I wouldn't say so, because when we look at the varieties of foods that we sell, at least you realize that very little vegetables are served. We have lots of carbohydrates, lots of maybe meat, protein, exactly. So we don't seem to have it as part of our regular meals. And even those ones that would contain the contumelies and the agushis and all of that, we realize that they are not that popular. We don't seem to see a lot of that on the market. And the other thing too is it appears that for the ordinary person, fruits is a luxury. If it's not probably a few fingers of bananas to fill the tummy, then when you talk about the apples, when you talk about the oranges and mangoes, expensive. Exactly. So it's a mix of the two. Probably people really would want to pick up these good eating habits, but probably the cost is what is keeping them away. So that is one side of it. But the point really I was making is we know that these things, if we do them, would help us prevent developing cancers. But then with this additional unaccounted for factor of the Sudan 4 dye, then we are not too sure how much risk we are being exposed to. Yes.
Maria, you work at the FDA. You actually head of the
safety management.
That's such an important position. That means you are food police. We don't see you too much. Apart from just palm oil, there are other foods in this country that are adulterated.
Yeah.
Honey. So you see billboards, pure honey, and we are told they melt foam or all kinds of things. Pepper, ground pepper. We hear they add cola. You know them.
Yeah.
What are those other things that are contaminated, and how serious is that apart from just the palm oil?
Well, with the pepper, with the honey, some do with sugar. We did some work and we've done some training, and well, it's sugar just to give it that viscosity for them to think. So it's just caramel. Do the sugar, you get the caramel and you add, that's the adulteration. One, that is deception, though accepted. Adulteration is an offense by our public health law. But then when it comes to safety, it's still safe though because that's sugar. But then this is not the nature of whatever the person is buying. The person knows I'm buying honey. I do not want sugar, as in sucrose, and then you add it. So that's an offense. We do have pepper powder being mixed with something they call Bexa seeds. That's what they say. They do the whatever, and then because they want it to be red, more red, they add Bexa seeds. And you know, chaff from the corn or maize, when you do the melon, there's this other one that just uses, that doesn't use the chaff. You take the chaff off, and then they say they mill it into a powdery form and add these Bexa seeds. The Bexa seeds, I think, are edible, and then they add the Bexa seeds to the powder, that's the chaff powder, and they call it tomato powder. So you ask yourself, and they sometimes think, oh, they are going for tomato powder. You ask yourself, what is tomato? When is tomato going to be dried and milled like that and get it into a powder form? So all these things, when we do the education and the interaction with the millers, we get a lot of information. Then we educate them themselves to even help us police, and then they give us the information, and we go to the various places and educate them. Some of them we do apprehend them, and then sometimes we do not even take them to court.
Why?
I knew you were coming to that.
You just pointed out that's
it's an offense.
Which is an offense
yes.
by our laws.
Yes. And we do give them administrative charges or fine them before even.
But that's not punitive enough. Because the law clothes you with the authority to set an example, take them to court, prosecute them, and then others will learn from it and desist from that.
Others will learn from it, thank you. But even with the administrative charges, others learn from it because, you know, they have groups, they have cooperative groups. They have queen mothers for tomatoes, queen mothers for powdered pepper and all that. They learn from it. With this palm oil thing, we'll very soon come
If they were learning, we wouldn't have the situation that we have, that even now, these things are happening in our markets.
They do learn, but you see, the fundamental problem is the Ghanaians' attitude to food safety. We have a very fundamental problem, a very huge problem. People, regardless of their education, do not even take food safety seriously.
I am hearing,
and that is where our problem is. And that's where you as a pressman should help us address this issue. Because when we address that issue, a lot of these things will be...
I am hearing a constitutional mandated body outsourcing its responsibility to the ordinary citizen to be food conscious, because it's your job to ensure that that which is not wholesome is not on the market. I think you are putting more effort in dealing with drugs rather than food.
No, we are not just giving somebody our mandate, as in giving the consumer or the millers or whoever our mandates, or shirking our responsibility. We are not at all. We are just asking them to be food safety aware, because most of these problems, I know you may not agree with me, are consumer driven. If the consumer knows his or her rights and insists on the right thing, and they understand why they are even doing certain things, that is the producers themselves or the market people themselves, if they understand why they are doing certain things, they will not do the things they are doing. It's because they do not understand it and appreciate what we are even saying. So we go there, we teach them, we do all sorts of things, and they think that, well, these people are people who just are living in another planet altogether.
You don't punish as the law requires you to do. Doc, the problem is bigger than we thought, isn't it? Yeah. If pepper and Annie and all of these things, the problem is bigger. And she is suggesting that, well, the ordinary Ghanaian, the average Ghanaian does not care. Elsewhere, it is the responsibility of institutions such as hers to protect the consumer, like the UK authorities are doing. So the people who live in the UK, they buy this oil, but the authorities make sure don't buy it. They go and find out, and they ensure that you don't buy it. They actually issue the alert. I don't think we are doing that quite enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I think fundamentally the issue of control and regulation comes to the point of whether or not we're able to control and regulate how these products get onto the market. If, for instance, in the UK, you probably won't find people standing on the streets selling this palm oil, where you don't know which company they belong to, you don't know where they are getting their products from. Unlike in a setting where today maybe Auntie Mansa is selling palm oil, tomorrow you come and she's not there. You don't know where her source of palm oil is coming from. It's going to be difficult to be able to police all the markets every day. I can imagine, and I'm not too sure how much resources they have. You get me? To go to all the markets in Accra in a day, for instance, and try and find out whether the tomatoes, the onions, the pepper, the plantain, the meat that is being sold on these markets are wholesome to be consumed by consumers. I find it a daunting task unless we perhaps relook at how our market system is structured, how we get our producers into the market with a view of being able to regulate what comes in and to be able to do quality controls on all of these products.
Have we set up an inefficient system and given it more than we ought to give it?
I wouldn't say we have set up an inefficient system, but perhaps the system that we have set up is not fully resourced and capable thereof to be able to monitor or do the job that we've entrusted them to do. Because like I'm saying, I don't think that even the UK authorities will be able to pick up everything that will come to a market like Kaneshi, where you don't know who is producing what and who is bringing in what.
But every now and then, we do get alerts. I do know about mango. They have issues with mango. In fact, some time back, they actually impounded a whole consignment worth tens of thousands of pounds worth of mango from Ghana because they found one mango rotten in the mango. They impounded it. So tens of thousands worth of mango, they can find one mango which is rotten and impound everything.
Well,
are we capable of doing that?
The comparison you are doing is UK imports, as in exports from here going to UK, that's UK imports, compared to locally produced things in Ghana being sold in Ghana. We don't have that kind of problem when we have imports because we have import control. We have our ports of entry with our officers there. So it's very, very easy. Doing import control is easier by far doing import control than doing the local regulation. So the comparison you are given is really as like just comparing oranges and apples. We don't have such a problem. You won't find people's, let's say, something that's brought in here and you say, well, we did not reject it because it's not good. We have our import control.
We have had instances where poultry products have been brought into this country when they were expired. And we have had serious complaints about that.
When they were expired already, or they got here and they expired.
They were virtually expired.
Virtually, you're saying virtually. They go here and they expired. But when they are coming in, our import control is so stringent. And that is what you are comparing to the UK import control. Import control and local control are two different things.
We have to take another break. When we come back, we will talk to Maria, who is charged now. So you stay tuned.
No, but you see...
You're welcome back. We're having a charged discussion about food safety and adulteration and contamination of food. Maria, you were talking about the efforts that you are putting in place. I'm challenging those efforts.
Yeah.
You insist that when the food is being brought in, it's easier to control. Domestically, it's more difficult. My point is, you're simply not doing enough.
You are comparing import control with domestic control.
Go to the market and see how food is sold.
You know,
what is the FDA
you were
doing?
Just let me, before I get there, you were comparing UK with us. UK import control and our domestic control, they are two different things. We do the import control very well to the extent that people even think we are doing too much before they even get their products in. Now, when it gets to domestic control, I can even say we do more than the UK agency that is responsible for food safety and even the FDA in US, because the people there are self-regulating. They know what to do. So they don't give them too much problems like that. They know they have to do A, B, C, D. They have to comply with regulations before they even set up their industry. We are here. Anybody will start one industry, or not even an organized industry. Talk of those palm oil like this. All you need is your daddy sign and your whatever in some palm fruits from a farm. The person is a processor. That's it. In UK, they have industries, and we have the industries here too.
Are you not mandated by law to regulate what they are doing?
Yes, we do have the industries, like the other companies, all the companies.
But they are easy to them.
No, but you know, with the industries, we don't have any problem with them because the regulation is easier by far. By far, the industries with all these multinationals and the local industries here who are working with a system is very easy to work with them because there is a system in place. But with these artisanal people, it becomes more difficult. And you were just talking about, before I come to your point of go to Accra or CMB area and see how food is sold on the floor, does the consumer buy from the floor? Yes.
Why the consumer does not have a choice. The consumer lives
doesn't have a choice where the consumer buys it and it is on the floor, displayed on the floor.
Because the consumer does not even know the risks involved.
And believe me, when we go there and even attempt telling the person, take it off there, we are even taking your things and yourself, we need to take you to the police or whatever, the consumer will even be insulting us. That is the Ghanaian consumer. I have had a personal experience. There was somewhere that somebody was selling in front of a public toilet, that is cocoa, and then the flies were around it. We went just with the police and all that. We said, well, let's take your thing out of this place. We need to relocate you. And she was angry with us. And she was like, okay, well, she knew she had to comply. The customers there were like, oh, mommy, if I see this, now call 50 pesos, give me, as if you are just irritating them. That is the customer. We are protected. We've had this not just with the uneducated. When you even tell people, look for a food hygiene permit in a restaurant before you eat, even that is an issue. They will not look for the food hygiene. When you even tell them, we are closing this restaurant down because it doesn't have a food hygiene permit, can all of you just go out and we lock it so that they will do the right thing? They get angry with us because we have gotten in the way of their food.
Doc, how much of this is a problem for you whose responsibility is to take care of the people when they fall sick and look after them? How much is this a problem in terms of how many diseases do we get? How serious is it in terms of the diseases that we get, which are accounted for the kind of food that we eat and the quality of food that we eat?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to put figures to it. Like I was saying, we don't have the database to tell us what we are eating, what we are not eating, who is eating what, and where what is being eaten. So it's difficult to say exactly what is, in terms of our health care, is accounted for by the food we eat per se, except that we hear about cholera outbreaks which are related to foods, and like we were talking about the Sudan dye in our palm oil now. It's probably not just the palm oil, it's not just the Sudan dye that we are worried about only, because the containers that are used to distill this palm oil, do they leach metals into the palm oil that are coming to us? And what metals are these? Because we know some of the heavy metals are also carcinogenic. So we have a long way to go, and it's really worrying that this is where things are. We would hope that it will be possible for agencies like the FDA be well resourced to be able to carry out their mandate effectively, and perhaps also move to the level where we may have regulation of what comes to the market. Because you can take me on when I practice medicine wrongly because I'm registered and I'm regulated. But if anybody can sell whatever they like when we don't know of where they are coming from.
And nobody takes them on.
Exactly.
The people who are supposed to arrest them, they say they just find them and let them go.
I'm not too sure if the FDA is to require of the market woman, where is your maybe market permit to sell palm oil or something.
No, but the quality of it.
We're doing with the district
Imani
assembly.
says you are being alarmist. Do you agree? Because you in person said people should stop buying palm oil. Imani says that's an alarmist position.
So what do they expect us to say?
Well, you should find a better way of dealing, because this is people's
that they
business.
should advise themselves. That's what they want. We just came to inform them that this is the situation. We are mandated by law to protect public health and safety. This is the situation we find ourselves in. And then the question goes like, so in the meantime, I know this is it. What can I do? Because I cannot eat palm oil because I know this is the situation. What do I do? Well, then the answer is there are alternatives. You can use your cooking oil anyway. If push gets to shove, you can even scoop the oil on top of your palm soup that you have prepared yourself.
In 15 seconds, what should we look forward to from the FDA as far as this matter is concerned?
We are going to get the system sanitized, and you're going to know that your palm oil will be safe for human consumption.
On that note, we bring today's discussion on PM Express on this explosive subject to an end. Good night. My name is Malik Abbas Dabu, your host.